What is up, guys? Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be predicting the pound for pound top 15 by the end of the year. So let's get started. Number 15, Kamaru Usman. So Kamaru Usman, he is coming off a couple losses right now, but I don't think he's that far off from being a pound for pound fighter. Just before he got knocked out by Leon, he was a pound for pound #1 fighter. That was in August of 2022, I think, right? So it wasn't too long ago. Right now he is currently off the list, but here's what's most likely going to happen. I think John Jones is going to retire later on in the year, and I think Kamaru Usman's going to pick up a win this year. Kamaru Usman's last fight, he didn't look that bad. Short notice, up a weight class against Hamzat. He did decent in that fight, and I think they're going to give him another fight at welterweight. Hopefully 5 rounds. Hopefully he gets a full camp, and I think he'll win his next fight. So yeah, I think Kamaru Usman by the end of the year, I think he's going to be number 15 pound for pound. But moving up, Sean Strickland. I think he's going to stay at number 14. Right now, it's Sean Strickland. He has a fight with Paulo Costa booked. He's coming off that controversial loss to Dricus for the belt, so he just lost his belt. And if you're looking at the middleweight title picture, Izzy and Dricus are probably fighting next for the belt in August. It's like, I'd say 90 or 95% sure that that fight's going to happen next. And then Dana White said that Hamzat versus Robert Whittaker is a #1 contenders match. So this year, I don't see Strickland fighting for a belt. What's probably going to happen is Strickland's most likely going to beat Costa. I don't even know why Costa's getting that fight. He doesn't deserve it. He's number 7 coming off a loss, but whatever. So he's going to beat Paulo Costa, and then maybe he'll fight the winner of Cannonier and Imavov in a rematch later this year. I don't think he's fighting for the belt, but yeah, I think he's going to win 1 or 2 fights this year, and I think the UFC doesn't like him, so they're probably not going to move him up the pound for pound list. And to be honest, beating Paulo Costa shouldn't really move you up the pound for pound list, but beating Cannonier or Imavov, that's actually a decent win. So if he gets a win over them later in the year, maybe he'll be a little higher than 14. But moving up, number 13, Dricus Du Plessis. I see Dricus Du Plessis losing his belt to Israel Adesanya. I think they're going to fight in August, and I just see Izzy clipping him. It's just the way MMA works. MMA math doesn't work just because Dricus beat Strickland. I don't see him beating Izzy. Dricus is very available to hit, and Izzy, he has power when he wants to, and I think he's going to want to have power this fight, and I think he's going to clip Dricus and knock him out. I don't know. I just see Izzy knocking him out. It's possible Dricus wins, but most likely Izzy's going to beat him, and I don't think Dricus is going to fight again later this year, so he's probably going to get moved down to number 13. I think that makes sense for him. But moving up the list, Aljamain Sterling. Now, I don't see Aljamain Sterling fighting for a belt this year. I see him fighting another contender at 145. He's most likely going to fight Brian Ortega or Moskar Evloev, and that's a decent fight for him. It's a decent fight, so he's going to fight Brian Ortega or Moskar Evloev, and I think he's going to beat them, and he's going to be coming off of 2 good wins, so I think they're going to move him up the pound for pound list a little bit. Right now he's number 15, but I think they're going to move him up. He'll have 2 good wins at featherweight, and I think there's going to be a little bit of motion going on in this area, in the 12 area. There's going to be some people moving down, some people moving up, and that leaves room for Aljo to come in at number 12. But moving up to number 11, Charles Oliveira. So he is coming off of that loss to Arman Sarukian, right? I think he's probably going to fight one more time this year against Gamrot, and I see him beating Gamrot. Hopefully Gamrot doesn't beat his ass. If Gamrot beats him, they're probably just going to take Charles off the pound for pound list. But I see him either fighting Gamrot and winning, or I see him just not fighting again this year. So I think he's going to stay at number 11. I don't see anything crazy happening with him. There's no way he's fighting for a belt this year, and there's no way that he's gonna beat anyone crazy. He's probably just going to fight Gamrot and win, or he's just not going to fight at all this year. So I see him staying at number 11. I don't see a lot happening with him after his loss to Arman. Number 10, Alexander Volkanovski. So right now, Volk is number 7. I just don't see him fighting at all this year. And I think there's going to be a couple more people getting crowned, just people getting defenses. And then they're going to have to just move Volk down a little bit. He's going to be a little inactive this year. I hope so, because unless he's fighting someone like Aljo or Moscar that has absolutely no power, right? I don't want to see him get knocked out again, right? So I think he's going to be inactive this year. I think they're going to sit him out, have him fight the winner of Max versus Ilya. And I think right now he's going to be number 10. Or not right now. Right now he's number 7. But I think at the end of the year he's going to be number 10. He's going to have no fights. And just due to inactivity and people defending their belts, he's going to get moved down a little bit. Number 9. I think they're going to put Ilia Topuria at number 9. So Ilia Topuria, I think he's going to lose to Max Holloway, man. I don't know, maybe it's a bold prediction, but I think Max Holloway's going to beat him. We've seen Ilia Topuria struggle with tall fighters. Max Holloway's got a crazy chin. He's not knocking him out like he knocked Volk out. Volk was piecing him up before Ilya was able to get the knockout, right? So I think that Max Holloway is going to beat Ilia Topuria. And Ilia Topuria, man, he has a lot of star potential. I don't think they're going to move him down that list a ton, you know? I think they're going to keep him above Volk because he beat Volk. I think they're going to keep him above everybody else. But they're going to put him at that number 9 slot. And I think he can get back to the belt. But I think Max Holloway is going to beat him. He's going to be number 9 pound for pound, right? And yeah, I don't think he's going to fight again this year. You know, I think him and Max are going to fight later this year. And Max is going to beat him. And I think that's going to be all that happens with him this year. But moving up, I think that John Jones will retire. And when John Jones retires, I think Tom Aspinall is going to move up the pound for pound list, you know? Tom Aspinall, I think he's like number 13 or 14 right now, right? So with Tom Aspinall, I think he's going to beat Curtis Blades. I think him and Curtis Blades are going to rematch in July. And then I think John Jones is going to vacate his belt later the year. They're going to promote Tom Aspinall to the main champion. And I think he's going to be number 8. You know, he's going to be an undisputed champion. You know, defenses, he defended his interim belt, right? So he has a lot of credibility. He's a decent champion. And yeah, I think he's just going to end up at number 8 because the person above him, number 7, Alexander Pantoja, I think he's probably going to beat Steve Eric, and then he's going to defend his belt again. That's going to be 3 title defenses. So yeah, that's going to be 3 title defenses. You know, he's going to have beaten some solid people. He beat Brandon Moreno, Brandon Royval, and then maybe Makhachev or Royval in a rematch later this year. And after you have 3 title defenses, I really don't think that the UFC can keep putting him low on this list. You know, they're going to have to keep moving him up the pound for pound list. And I think number 7 is going to be a decent slot for him after a couple defenses. But moving up, number 6, Israel Adesanya. So Israel Adesanya, I think he's going to get his belt back. And I think they're going to bump him up that pound for pound list a lot. And honestly, they might bump him up higher than this. After he beats Dricus, or because, you know, Dricus still could win. It's a possibility. But I think he's most likely going to beat Dricus. They're probably going to bump him up the pound for pound list a little bit. They might even put him higher, man. But I think the people above him, you know, those people that will have people with multiple defenses, big stars, you know, people that the UFC are going to want to have high on the pound for pound list. So I think those guys are going to be above him. But Israel Adesanya, he would have just gotten his belt back. He was a decent champion. You know, he has a lot of credibility. So I think number 6 would be an okay slot for him if he gets his belt back. And I think that's where they're going to put him. But moving up, Max Holloway, number 5 pound for pound. Now I was debating putting him at 4 or 5. But if he just wins his belt back against Ilia Topuria, I think, I don't know what they're going to do, man. Because him versus Izzy, it's a good debate. Who should be higher? I think Max Holloway, honestly. You know, he just won the BMF belt. He would be coming off of 4 wins. He would have beat Ilia Topuria, who is way higher on the pound for pound list than Dricus, who Izzy would have beat. So I think most likely, if they're being fair, they'll put Max Holloway over Izzy. And I would agree with that, man. I would agree with them putting Max Holloway over Izzy. I think it's a decent decision. And yeah, Max Holloway, he's already number 8 on the pound for pound list. He's already much higher than Izzy on the pound for pound list. He would have beat someone higher on the pound for pound list. And they could put him at number 4. They could put him at number 3. If he gets a win over Ilia Topuria, that is huge. So yeah, Max Holloway, number 5. I think that's where he's going to be at the end of the year. I think he's going to beat Ilia, and he's going to be the featherweight champion. But moving on, Sean O'Malley. I think Sean O'Malley's going to defend his belt one more time this year, and I think he's going to beat Merab, man. And the UFC, they love Sean O'Malley, so they're going to put him over guys like Max Holloway. They're probably going to put him over guys like Israel Adesanya. They're probably going to put him at that number 4 slot, and it kind of makes sense. It's not the worst decision. Me personally, if I had to choose Max beating Ilia for the belt or Sean O'Malley beating Merab with 2 title defenses, I'd probably put Max Holloway over him, but there's an argument for O'Malley. You know, right now he has 2 title defenses. He's coming off some good wins, and if he's able to beat Merab, that's pretty big, man. Merab, he's a great number 1 contender. You know, he has some great wins, but I don't know. I just see O'Malley clipping him, man. You know, Merab might be able to bully him for a couple rounds, but that knee from O'Malley, I don't think Merab will see it coming. I think he'll knee Merab, and I think he'll stop him maybe in the 3rd or 4th round. And I think they're gonna put him at number 4 on the pound for pound list. But moving up, Alex Pereira. I think Alex Pereira is just going to keep winning. You know, on paper, Magomed probably should beat him with his wrestling. But, bro, Alex Pereira just gets it done, man. He just ends up getting it done every time. He's very active. So I think he's going to get in 2 more title defenses this year. And I think they're going to have him at number 3. You know, they're going to have him higher than Sean O'Malley. Because Alex Pereira has just beaten so many champions back to back to back to back. You have to have him high in this pound for pound list. Especially if he gets another 2 defenses. So I think Alex Pereira is going to end off the year at number 3 on the pound for pound list, moving his way back up a little bit. But moving up to number 2, Leon Edwards. I think Leon Edwards is only going to fight one more time this year. If he fights 2 times this year, let's just say I don't think he'll be on the list. Or he will be in the list, but I don't think he'll be number 2. I think Shavkat will beat him. And I think Shavkat's going to beat Jack Della Mena. and then he's gonna beat Leon. But I don't think it's gonna be till next year. I think what's gonna happen this year is July in the UK. Leon Edwards is gonna beat Bilal Muhammad. He's gonna beat him in some boring decision, right? But at this point, he'll have 3 title defenses. He'll be coming off wins over Usman, Colby, all these people, right? So I think he's already what, number 3? After John Jones retires, I think they're gonna move him up 1 slot. He's gonna be number 2 pound for pound, and that sets up a perfect fight for him versus the number 1 pound for pound fighter. I think you guys can already guess who it is. Islammakhachev, right? Islammakhachev beat Volk twice, and I think he's gonna fight 2 more times this year. He's gonna keep that number 1 spot. I mean, who's gonna overtake him, right? If Islam wins his next 2 fights, even if John Jones stays unretired, right? Him beating Stipe isn't bigger than Islam beating Armin in a rematch in Dustin. I'm sorry, it just isn't. And Leon Edwards isn't overtaking Islam on the pound for pound list. Sean O'Malley isn't. Max Holloway isn't. Even if Ilya wins, none of these guys are overtaking Islammakhachev. Islammakhachev, the king, he's keeping his pound for pound number 1 slot. He's defending his belt 2 more times this year. And then next year, he's going to take Leon's head off if Shavkat doesn't get the chance. But let me know what you guys think about this video. Let me know what you guys think the pound for pound list will end at this year. And like, comment, subscribe, all that. Peace out.